How's it going, guys, and welcome to Fragger's Guide to Building in Minecraft. So, how do you get inspired? Well, from my experience, there are two different ways to get inspired in Minecraft. The first being through random inspiration, which in my opinion is not always the best way to get inspired. But what is random inspiration? Well, random inspiration is that inspiration you get without having a preset idea of what you want to build in the game. So you just go out there and find that certain piece of media, whether it's a picture or a video or even a location in real life, and then you just get inspired to build something in Minecraft without having any preset idea of what you want to build in the game. So how is this sometimes a bad way to get inspired? Well, if you go out and seek random inspiration, it's not always the best, because you're seeking out inspiration for a project that you weren't really passionate about before, at least not passionate enough to even determine what type of build you want to make, and because of that, it can be very easy to lose that passion and inspiration after starting the build, and once you lose it, it can be very difficult to get back that inspiration. So that's why seeking out random inspiration is not really a good idea. But what about true random inspiration? That random inspiration that you're not seeking out, you're not trying to fulfill an itch to build in Minecraft, but you just happen to stumble upon this media or location in real life that makes you want to build something great. That kind of inspiration can be good. And if you do use random inspiration, I highly encourage that you don't seek it out and you just let it happen naturally. But what's the second way to get inspired? The second way is through purposeful inspiration. So what is purposeful inspiration? Purposeful inspiration is that inspiration that you get after predetermining what you want to build in the game, all the way down to the type of the build and even the build style that you want to build in, and then you go seek out inspiration for that build. So of course for this one you do have to have a predetermined idea of what you want to build in the game, all the way down to the type of build, like is it a city, is it a village, is it a house, is it a castle, what is it, and even all the way down to the style of the build. Is it a modern build, is it a steampunk build, is it a medieval build? And then once you've determined what you want to build in the game, then you go seek out media for inspiration, like images on Google, or videos on other social media platforms, or even locations in real life. Purposeful inspiration is, in my opinion, the best way to get inspired because it is very difficult to lose the inspiration while you are building it, since it is something that you are passionate about before seeking out the inspiration, and it's also something that you can very easily get back the inspiration from if you do happen to lose it. So I do definitely recommend that you have a preset idea of what you want to build in the game before seeking out inspiration. From my experience, staying inspired is one of the hardest things to do when building in Minecraft. It's relatively easy to find inspiration, but keeping that inspiration can be very difficult at times. So how do you stay inspired? Well, there's no clear-cut way to 100% stay inspired all of the time. Even if you follow my advice, there will still be times where you feel uninspired to finish a project. And that's okay. If you don't feel inspired to finish a project, then that project may just not be meant for you. But here are some ways to help prevent yourself from getting uninspired. So the first thing that you should do in any build that you make is accept that your build is not going to be perfect. There's always going to be at least one thing wrong with your build that you don't like, and that is perfectly okay. That happens to me all the time. I always make builds that I am not 100% happy with, but I still complete them anyway, and I still think they turn out really good. And if you ask any big builder out there, including BOO or FWIP or multiple other people, if they think their build is 100% perfect, they're gonna say no. They're gonna be able to list a bunch of things that they don't like about the build that they just made. And that's perfectly okay. It doesn't have to be perfect to you. As long as it looks fine, that's really all that matters. The second way to help prevent yourself from getting uninspired is by accepting that you don't have to complete one part of the project before moving on to the next one. It's okay to jump around between different parts of the project, especially if you're starting to feel burnt out and uninspired. Getting that needed break from working on that one part of the project and working on something else can really help to reignite that spark for you to start building again. So for example, if you are building a medieval city and you are feeling burnt out from building all of the houses and shops, then maybe move on to another part of the build. Like start building up the castle, or maybe the port area, or maybe even a marketplace. You don't have to completely finish all of the houses and shops before moving on to something else. So don't force yourself to finish one part of the project before moving on to the next. The third way to help stay inspired is to not focus on what you have left, but instead to focus on what you've done already. If you just focus on what you have left, you're gonna start feeling burnt out because all you're thinking about is everything else you have to do. And especially when you're not even halfway done with the project, that can really make you feel like you're just not even close to being finished. Whereas if you focus on what you've already done, it can really help keep you inspired to finish the project. Because you're looking at everything you've already done and thinking about how good the project is gonna be when you finish it. So don't focus too much on what you have left, and instead focus more on what you've done already. The fourth way to stay inspired is to build for a reason. Maybe that reason is to share your build with your friends, or maybe it's to share it on social media like on a YouTube channel or on TikTok, or maybe it's because your friend asked you to build something and you want to build that for them. Whatever it is, find a reason to build, because if you don't have a reason to build, then it's really easy just to give up and stop building. But if you do decide to build for social media, like on a YouTube channel or on a TikTok profile, I caution you not to focus too much on analytics. Because if all you focus on with those social media platforms is your analytics, it's very easy to get burnt out not just on building in Minecraft, but also with making content as a whole. And I know it is very easy to focus too much on analytics, but if you do start a YouTube channel to help keep you inspired when building in Minecraft, try not to focus too much on analytics. The fifth and final way to keep your inspiration is for when you've already started losing inspiration for a project. And this way is to go through the process of finding inspiration again, which for this one, you're most likely going to be using purposeful inspiration, which is when you already have an idea of what you want to build, and then you go seek out inspiration through social media platforms or even in real life. So if you are starting to lose inspiration for a project, then go through the process of finding inspiration again. And if you don't end up finding that inspiration again, then that's okay. This project wasn't meant for you, and you can move on to something else. Like I said at the beginning of this part, this advice is not going to 100% guarantee that you will never lose your inspiration, but rather it's a guideline to help minimize the chance of you losing your inspiration. So if you do end up losing your inspiration even after following everything I said, then it's okay to move on to something else. So that's my advice on how to not just get inspired, but also stay inspired when building in Minecraft. So if you found this video helpful and you want to see more of this series in the future, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. And if you have any criticisms of this video or you just enjoyed it, then make sure to leave a comment down in the comment section below. And if you guys want to interact with me or my community outside of YouTube, then make sure to join my Discord server link down in the description. But anyway, that's all for this one, so as always, don't forget to keep building.